they're not going to be in first place in this division. So with that being said,
go learn something.
Why wouldn't you play a rookie guy?
Yeah.
Find out what you got. You need to find out who that guy is this year. Because if he ain't the guy, guess what? You're going to be picking high again next year. And there's some quarterbacks coming out.
Picture this. Herm Edwards looking like he just cracked the Da Vinci Code, except instead of fire, he's roasting the Cleveland Browns for treating Shedeur Sanders like a busted snack machine that just ate his dollar. He's not hinting, he's spelling it out in bold letters, practically flashing Uber receipts and yelling, "Get out of there before they ruin you, kid."
This is how I got this name of being late. I'm not even late. His meeting started at 17. He would start on prime time, which is whenever he feels like it. So it would be about 7:03, he'll get mad at me for being late. But then I went to the Shrine Bowl and the meetings was at the same time. And I got there at the same time. I usually get to his meetings and I was the guy turning on the lights.
And what did the coaches say about you that week?
But I have to sit out of the championship game because he want to start meetings 15 minutes early, bro.
You were the
Jackson
only,
State.
You was the last one who walked in the meeting room that day. You were early, but you were late.
Yeah.
Now, if the meeting starts at 7:15, they should be, butts and seats should be at 7.
So
I'm trying to train them for life, not just football.
Like he's watching a slow-motion disaster and can't look away. Why is Herm so sure Shedeur needs to bounce? Oh, this story's juicier than a reunion episode of a messy reality show. We're talking backroom drama, power plays, and enough chaos to make even the calmest coach lose his headset. Every whisper, every sideline glance, it all screams that something deeper's brewing in Cleveland. And when Herm basically blew the whistle on national TV, the entire football world froze in disbelief. You could feel the confusion through the screen, like everyone just heard the unfiltered truth for the first time. It wasn't quiet, it wasn't cryptic. It was the kind of public wake-up call that echoes through every locker room. If you're enjoying this madness, make sure to subscribe. It helps more than you know. Quarterbacks in Cleveland don't just play football. They turn into urban legends, cautionary tales, or worse, forgotten trivia questions nobody even wants to answer.
Question, I think when this all took place, you kind of looked at it and went, well, wait a minute, what are we doing here? I hope one of these guys, one of the younger ones, is the future for the Cleveland Browns because you know, I'm an old head, and look, the Cleveland Browns need to be relevant. They just do. It's good for football when the Cleveland. They had the greatest player to ever play the game of football, and I say that. Anybody ask me, it's Jim Brown.
Amen.
And I'm gonna say that until I leave this earth. It is Jim Brown. There ain't no doubt. And I just think the struggles these guys have gone through, it has a lot to do with the quarterback. Okay.
And Herm Edwards isn't being dramatic for clicks. He's talking from experience. He's seen this story play out too many times, and the ending never changes. The Browns don't have a quarterback room. They've got a quarterback graveyard. You walk in full of dreams and walk out as another what could have been on a long, dusty list. If you're lucky, you limp your way to another team. If not, you vanish into that N.F.L. void where people remember your college highlights more than your actual career.
After watching Shedeur play when he had his start, I said, wow. But then I watched Dylan Gabriel play, and I went, ooh, ooh. I tell you, made a bunch of really tight throws versus tight coverage. I like it. I think they think they have a guy that I had played against at Cleveland who played quarterback for them, a guy by the name of Brian Sipe. Have the same stature too, about 6 foot tall. He was out of San Diego State. This kid's out of Oregon, but he is really good in the pocket. He maneuvers in the pocket very well, always keeps his eyes down the field, and he's very accurate.
Just take one look at Cleveland's quarterback history. It's like a haunted house roll call. Johnny Manziel, the so-called savior, disappeared faster than his own hype. Baker Mayfield, the cocky gunslinger, turned into a late-night joke before clawing his way back to respect somewhere else. And then there's Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson. That saga deserves its own primetime drama, with all the chaos and cash tied up in it. Let's be honest, the Browns don't build quarterbacks, they break them. They chew them up, spit them out, and then act shocked when the system fails again. So when Herm looks at Shedeur Sanders sitting there in Cleveland, he's not seeing hope, he's seeing another name waiting to join the ghost list.
Sanders in the Cleveland Browns' third and final preseason game. And I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Shedeur isn't just skilled, he's a walking highlight reel. The kid's got patience, precision, and that calm under pressure that rookies dream about. But instead of grooming him as the future, Cleveland's got him bubble-wrapped like a collector's item. They're keeping him on the sidelines while riding with a contract-heavy veteran who's not even delivering results. The only thing Shedeur's learning in Cleveland is how to wait. And quarterbacks don't grow by waiting. They grow by getting hit, by learning from bad reads, by fighting through chaos in the pocket. You can't learn leadership holding a clipboard. You learn it in the huddle, when the game's on the line and the lights are blinding.
I think Shedeur handles the media, handles criticism like a franchise quarterback. Yeah. That question was kind of dumb. Like, that's a hard question to ask somebody. He kind of gave her a little side eye, and he wanted to say something, but he used incredible restraint because he didn't say, what do you think? Like, of course I think I'm making the team. He gave her a very professional answer, which is what I can appreciate about him. He's handled all this great, and all the attention is not, he's not asking for it. It's everybody's giving it to him because they're already entrenched in their views on him.
Yeah, that look spoke 1,000 words. You know exactly what he thought. He's always been an alpha dog everywhere he go. You know the Sanders family do not lack confidence in themselves and their ability. And to be real, everywhere he's...
And yet Cleveland keeps denying Shedeur the one thing that could unlock his entire career, a real shot on the field. They've turned one of college football's brightest stars into an N.F.L. intern taking notes instead of snaps. Herm Edwards sees it crystal clear. He's been around long enough to recognize when a franchise has no clue what to do with talent. His message isn't questioning Shedeur's ability. It's exposing Cleveland's failure to use it. Herm knows exactly how this story ends when a team mishandles a gifted quarterback. The spark fades, the confidence cracks, and before long, that future superstar becomes a name tossed around in biggest bust debates. But here's the truth bomb. This isn't even about competition. Shedeur isn't sitting behind a dominant MVP. He's stuck behind a mess built on money and politics. Cleveland won't bench the guy they threw their entire wallet and reputation at. That's not loyalty. That's stubborn pride. And pride like that poisons a locker room.
So behind the scenes, as a human being, he's doing a phenomenal job that way. And then he's working really hard. He's got a tremendous work ethic, and he's working really hard to pick up the things that he needs to, and that's all the pre-snap stuff. He's got to figure out how to call the play in the huddle, how to work on the protections and the motions and all of those things that happen pre-snap. Post-snap, he's doing great. I mean, he's got a really nice ball. He's got a really nice arm. He puts nice touch on it. He's very, very accurate, and I think he's earning more reps. I think they have to be really, really happy with what.
For a young quarterback like Shedeur, time isn't a luxury. Every year he spends holding a clipboard is a year of lost growth. Every snap Deshaun Watson takes, good or bad, is another reminder that Shedeur's talent is being wasted on the sidelines. If you're waiting for Cleveland to suddenly wake up and say, hey, maybe this Sanders kid deserves a chance, you'll be waiting longer than Browns fans have waited for a Super Bowl ring. And that's saying something. So when Herm Edwards shouts, leave, it's not drama. It's survival advice. It's like watching a friend sink into quicksand and yelling, don't just stand there, move. Herm knows if Shedeur stays too long, Cleveland's dysfunction will eat him alive. Because once that franchise gets its claws into a quarterback's career, the odds of escaping are almost zero.
I don't think about nothing. I don't think about anything. If it's not words or anything, at this point, it can't do anything to me. I know, the God put the ability and the power within me to not even think about nobody else's comments, not care. It is what it is. I spoke with him. He said, nah, bro, that wasn't. He said, that wasn't. He told me on the plane. He came up. He was like, nah, bro, that wasn't at you. I see how they trying to spin. I'm like, oh, all right. Did I believe him? Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're trying to start stuff now.
Let's be real. If Cleveland were a dating app, their relationship status with quarterbacks would read, it's complicated, with a sad violin playing in the background. It's like a horror movie where every new quarterback walks in with swagger, hype, and hope. And 5 minutes later, they're tripping over their own playbook and getting devoured by the same monster that's been haunting this team for decades. That's the Browns for you. When it comes to quarterbacks, they are the monster. Since 1999, Cleveland has burned through more quarterbacks than most people burn through Wi-Fi passwords.
It's similar to what the confidence his father had. But I think he finds himself in a predicament right now that, look, I thought he played well in the preseason, But when I watched Gabriel play, oh boy, it was different. Dylan Gabriel was very good in the pocket. He ran the offense. I mean, he got the ball out of his hand. He was accurate, made some tough throws. This is why they drafted him. I can see why they drafted him. But I thought he really played well in the preseason.
They've drafted saviors, traded for superstars, even duct-taped broken veterans together, hoping for a miracle. And every single one ended the same way. Chewed up, spit out, and tossed into the pile of shattered dreams. If you lined up all their failed quarterbacks on a timeline, you'd run out of space before halftime. And now here comes Shedeur Sanders, walking straight into that same trap with superstar potential written all over him. It's like watching someone stroll into quicksand while the whole crowd yells, "Stop!" But Cleveland's front office? They're standing there smiling, whispering, "Trust the process." What process? The only process they care about is making Deshaun Watson work, no matter how bad the stats look or how many excuses they have to invent. That contract's got them chained up like a toxic marriage they refuse to leave. And poor Shedeur's just the kid caught in the middle with no voice in the chaos. Here's the harsh truth. Shedeur could torch the defense in camp, drop dimes all preseason, and look more polished than half the league, and it still wouldn't matter. That's why Herm Edwards is sounding the alarm.
So there was a Browns preseason game against the LA Rams today. And Shedeur Sanders, he didn't play well, but he was also playing with the 3s and 4s. But young quarterback, you got to experience certain things. It comes with the learning process. Cool, I get it. But Stefanski, the Browns coach, did not put him back in for the 2-minute drill, which they could have went to win the game. Instead, he put out a quarterback that probably won't be on the roster come Tuesday. They just picked him up because quarterbacks got injured, and they don't really want him in Hunt.
He knows Shedeur's not battling Watson's skill. He's battling Watson's contract. And in Cleveland, that's a fight nobody wins. Not even Tom Brady could walk into that locker room and change the politics. Because in this city, contracts always outrank performance. Here's the real tragedy. Cleveland isn't just mishandling Shedeur, they're wasting him. Every snap he doesn't take, every game he doesn't play, every season he spends watching from the sidelines is time he can't get back. Quarterbacks aren't fine wine. They don't sit on a shelf and magically get better with age. They grow by getting hit, by failing, by learning under pressure. And Cleveland's keeping him bottled up while pretending that patience is progress. Quarterbacks need to play, to fail, to adapt, to grow. That's how greatness is built. Shedeur still has time to swim out before Cleveland drags him under. Because if this team's history has taught us anything, it's that no quarterback is ever truly safe there. Not the flashy rookies, not the decorated veterans, not even the comeback stories. They all end up swallowed by the same storm. The only constant in Cleveland is chaos. And unless Shedeur wants his name carved next to Manziel, Mayfield, and the rest of the forgotten, he needs to take Herm's warning seriously. The message is simple. Cleveland doesn't deserve him. The sooner he realizes that, the sooner he can find a team that actually values what he brings. Herm Edwards isn't just talking for clicks. This man's been in the trenches for decades, watching talent rise, crash, and sometimes vanish completely because they landed in the wrong system. He's like that grizzled captain who spots the storm miles away while the rookies are still joking on deck. Opportunity matters, and when you look at Cleveland's setup, what do you see? Dysfunction, impatience, a front office more focused on saving face than building futures. That's not development. That's career sabotage dressed up as patience. And here's the thing, Shedeur isn't your average young quarterback. He's polished, composed, and scary smart. He reads defenses like he's been doing it for years. When the pocket collapses, most rookies panic. But Shedeur stays cool, like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. That's rare. That's special. That's the kind of natural talent you build around, not hide on the bench like some forgotten backup generator. But the Browns? They're too busy babysitting their billion-dollar gamble on Deshaun Watson to even notice the gem sitting right behind him.
So, of course, all the conversation coming out of the weekend, like it has been, has been with the Cleveland Browns. And this time it has been a couple of different ways. You got Dylan Gabriel, and then you have, of course, you have Joe Flacco, 9-10, get a touchdown, 70-something yards for him. Looks good. But eventually the big conversation coming out of it, of course, is Shedeur Sanders and how he looked where he did not look great, getting sacked 5 times, completed 3 passes, and just looked out of sorts, as did the former position you played, by the way, the offensive line as well. I mean, I don't even know who was out there at that point. I don't know if it was D. Is there a D such thing as a D6 offensive line? And D2, D3, it was D6. Because I don't know, they had him running around out there. Now, he was holding the ball longer than you would want to as well.
Let's be real. Watson's contract is infamous across the league, a fully guaranteed franchise-sized ball and chain. And because of that deal, Cleveland's trapped. And so is Shedeur. Cleveland can't admit they messed up. They can't bench Deshaun Watson without looking foolish, and they definitely can't let a rookie like Shedeur Sanders come in and make him look bad. So what does that mean for Shedeur? It means no matter how good he is, he's invisible. He could light up practice, torch defenses in preseason, and outshine Watson every single day, and it still wouldn't matter. Because Cleveland doesn't run on merit. It runs on damage control. By the time they finally give him a real shot, the moment will have passed, the spark will be gone, and people will just shrug, saying, "Guess he wasn't built for the league." But that's a lie. The truth is, the NFL's full of guys who are built for greatness. They just got trapped in bad systems that crushed their momentum. And Herm Edwards knows it. He sees the path Shedeur's on, and it's headed straight into that same pit of wasted potential. That's why his message is so raw, so direct, because he's right. How can any young quarterback compete with a contract worth hundreds of millions, fully guaranteed, glued to a franchise that refuses to admit it might have bet on the wrong guy? You can't. You just sit there, collecting dust, while your career clock ticks louder every season. The saddest part? We've watched this play out again and again. Young quarterbacks buried behind untouchable veterans, not because of skill, but because of money and pride. And 9 times out of 10, they never recover. By the time they finally break free, they've lost precious years of growth, and the league has already moved on. Herm Edwards doesn't want that to be Shedeur Sanders' story. And honestly, neither should anyone else. Herm Edwards wants Shedeur Sanders to get out while he still can, before Cleveland traps him in the same losing cycle that's buried so many before. He's begging him to find a team that values his talent, not just his name on a depth chart. A team that actually hands him the keys instead of asking him to keep the engine running while someone else drives it straight off a cliff. Because if there's one thing everybody knows about the Browns, it's that if there's a cliff, they'll find it. And when they do, they'll make sure the quarterback goes over first. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.